Hey, how's everybody doing? It's your boy Calvin Ellis, ready to rock as always. Man, I was asked by the guys if I would give, let's say, a mini treatise on Superman, and what are the three things that make Superman? For all the laymen, for all the experts, if you're like me, you've been reading Superman a long time. What are the three things that make this character tick? Now, this is important because if we don't have these things, usually it's a sign that this is not going to be a good Superman story. Now, part of the problem with this is a lot of people assume they know the character. Now, they may know the S and they may know the outfit, but they don't necessarily know the character. So you'll get people say, "Oh, Superman's boring because he's so powerful." But of course, the Hulk is great, and Iron Man, who's got all these powers and money, he's those guys are great. So those type of things just show that you don't know the character. You probably don't read the stories or anything of that nature. But in the same breath, if you don't know the core of, say, a character like Iron Man or Batman or Spider Man, you're probably not going to deal out a good story. And people, even though they may call a character like Superman boring, they still know what he's supposed to be about. But without further ado, the three things: morality, humanity, and a sense of wonder. These are the three things you should be getting in a Superman story. A lot of times I've heard Superman's a symbol of hope. I don't know where that came from. And I don't think it really depends on how you define hope. Okay. Because hope is like the actual definition is a feeling of expectation, a desire that something is going to happen. And I don't know if when you see Superman, that's what it is. I think they're thinking more the archaic definition of that, where it's when you see Superman, there's a trust. And the trust is that everything is going to be all right. But part of the reason for that is the character's morality. See, unlike say Batman or even Spider-Man, who's is my second favorite hero, with Superman, you know that you can trust him. And that's because of his morality. If he's not going to come over here and just leave you flat, he's going to help you. He's going to save the day. He's done it before. He always does it. So when Superman shows up and everybody's saying, "Oh, we have hope," yeah, we trust that he's going to get the job done. Okay, but that's because he's good. That's where the real power comes from. Superman is a morally correct character. We can trust that in a moral situation, Superman is going to do the right thing. Now, the problem with that is we had someone, well, I don't want to say any names, Zack Snyder, who decided that he wanted to make Superman a character who had to become moral as opposed to a character who was moral. And then that morality just got refined by his parents. But intrinsically, Superman is a morally correct, he's a morally correct being. That's one of the reasons why he's an alien, because we know that no human could probably live up to that particular standard. But his moral compass is so fine that we don't have to worry about it. When we see him, we fully trust him. We know that Superman's not going to let the plane go down. He's not going to let the people die. Okay, we know that Superman's not going to let the dog, go dead in the river. Okay, we know Superman's not going to let the girl jump off the building. And when he tells her it's going to be okay, you're stronger than you you're stronger than you believe that you are. You trust him because he's Superman, and you know that this guy's morals are on the right path. So you're not going to dispute anything that he says over there. So morality, humanity. He gets this, of course, from being raised by human beings. Now, a lot of people tend not to put a lot of weight on this, but you have to remember that Superman's an alien. He's not human. He looks like a human, but those powers need to remind you this guy is not a human. He is so far above anything that a human being could ever hope to be. He doesn't need to eat. He doesn't need to drink. He doesn't need to sleep. Okay. He's fine without any of those particular things, but he humbles himself. He humbles himself because he wants to be part of humanity. And he understands what that means, that human beings are capable of great actions of good, but also very poor actions of wrong and even evil. And Superman comes out and he humbles himself. He could be doing a whole bunch of stuff all the time. He would be at the pinnacle of anything that we would want to call the top in our society. And yet he humbles himself, has a regular job, interacts with regular people because he understands that if he doesn't do that, he can't connect to people. And in doing that, that's what gives him this great sense of humanity, even though he's from an alien planet and doesn't have any reason to be human. He doesn't have the same needs as us. He doesn't, have the same foibles as us either. But he's taking these things on intrinsically, knowing that that is the only way I'm going to be able to connect. So when people are talking about, we don't want the bumbling Clark Kent, we want Clark Kent just to play it straight, just to be normal. No, you got it wrong. Okay, because if Clark Kent is just straight, then you're saying that Superman has the powers, he has the wife, he has the job, he has the kid. Okay, he has everything. Well, heroism involves sacrifice. Superman understands that. That's a part of humanity. Okay, with the guy who's running back, when everybody else is running the other way from the trouble, the guy who's running into the burning building, that guy's making a very big sacrifice. And Superman sacrifices, no, he's not going to have it all. Okay, and that part of that sacrifice is humbling himself, okay, and living as a human being, even though he could live very, very, very high above anything that a human being could ever hope to be. So, again, morality is humanity. I think probably the biggest example of his humanity is when we see him interact with children. Okay, anytime I put on a Superman shirt, kids, oh, Superman. I don't even know if these kids can read, but they know Superman. Okay, he's one of the only superheroes that you could do a cover where you see Superman with a whole bunch of kids, and it's just a cool scene. Nobody bats an eye at it or thinks twice. Okay, because he's literally like the old time uncle who would come over and all the kids loved it because he would play with them. Okay, he would spend time with them. He would be on their level. That type of humanity. Okay, that's what Superman possesses. So when he winks at us, okay, or when he smiles at the camera, or when he does something that only we know and we're included in, that's part of the overall humanity of the character. He gets that from his raising him from his parents, but it's also something that works when we realize and understand that Superman is not human. Okay, that he's humbling himself in order to connect to us, not mocking us, not mimicking us, but humbling himself because he thinks, being part of us and connecting with us is such a great thing. So that's something else. That's something that you definitely want to look for in terms of the film. And lastly, and all of these are all co-essential. Okay, if you co-essential, if you will. If you take out one, it just doesn't work. You got to have all three. But a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm about the man and not the super." Well, that's great, but nobody's reading this book because we don't want to see how great and how nice and how good Superman is. If that's the case, you can go read the Gospels. Superman is also supposed to be about a sense of wonder. Everybody knows that Superman can pretty much do anything. Somebody say, "Oh, I'll throw him some kryptonite." Yeah, whatever. He'll get past the kryptonite. Oh, what about magic? Now he'll get past the magic too. He'll get past all of that because his job is to save the day. He's good. Okay, in any situation, he is good. Good is supposed to triumph. Now, I know other people, well, we want to share the good. We want it to be a team effort. No, good is not about a team effort. If one guy can get the job done, that's good. That's it. It's not about bringing up your faith. However, knowing that Superman can do anything and then going into a movie or reading a comic or watching a cartoon and seeing him do something so cool that you're like, oh, wow, I didn't think he could do that. Okay, that's what you want. You know he can fly. You know he's strong. You know he's super fast. You know he has all of these powers. And yet, when he does something, okay, and it's done in such a clever way, you're like, oh, I didn't think he could do that. I didn't realize he could use his powers like that. Okay, I didn't know another power would just develop if that was the case. You know, these are things that we go in there for. He's got such a magnificent power set. The wrong thing, if you depower Superman, you're off. You're off. You're off. You're on the wrong foot. No, because it's never about the power, but the usage of it. And it's not about him fighting with someone. Superman is designed to save people. So when you're thinking about less power means it's harder for him to do what he's supposed to do and save people. Less power, that's less hope. But it also means less power, less good, because his power comes from him being good, him being moral. So when we look and we have this sense of wonder, we should be on the edge of our seats wondering, hey, we should not be wondering, okay, is Superman going to survive or how he's going to defeat the villain? No, we should be wondering, like, hey, I didn't think he could do that. I thought I knew everything about him. That's how a writer is supposed to come into this, really upping the ante with the situation and the challenge, and then the solution that Superman actually brings to it. If you get all three of those in your story, be it a comic, be it a film, okay, be it the cartoon, you're good. like for instance, the season finale of Superman and Lois on the WB. And I was pretty hard on Tyler Hoechlin and Superman because he was on the Supergirl, and they were always bitching him out. But the show turned out to be a lot better. Really a lot better. Even though it was still like a lot of the dumb teenage stuff, and the tropies about the father's always wrong, wife is always right. So you got to suffer through that stuff. But the Superman stuff was good. So we get to the season finale, and Superman's powers have been drained by the parasite. And everybody else tries to defeat the parasite. She's just smacking them back. There's pretty much nothing they can do. And so finally, Superman says, "The only person who can beat her is me." And I busted out laughing. I'm like, "She already drained your powers. How is she going to do that?" So they throw Superman in the sun. And because these days I'm always skeptical about how powerful they're going to let Superman be. I'm like, okay, I hope he doesn't get burned up. But he goes into the sun and he's just charging. And then finally he hears something and he comes loose, breaks loose, grabs the power site. She tries to drain his power. She's like, "It's too much power." He's like, "You want power? Here you go." Bang! Slaps her, separates both the Brainiac self and the regular self, takes both of them, gets them locked up. At the same time, Steel and his daughter Natasha, they tried to do something, didn't work out. Superman takes the space, goes, saves them, no problem. Then the regular Earth and the bizarre Earth have fully merged together. Fully merged together. He's got to stop that. He's got to stop that. That's going to be catastrophic for both planets. It's going to be terrible. You just see him circling around the Earth, and I'm watching this like, well, what's he going to do? He's going to do like some Christopher Reeve stuff, go back in time? No, he circles around the Earth and punches it. Just punches it. Okay, and he punches it so hard he separates both planets safely. Safely. He separates both planets safely, sends the Bizarro planet back into its own dimension, steals the portal, and does all of that with one punch. It's phenomenal. Okay, you'll hear some of the reviews. Well, how did he do it? And what was the reason? And, but no. Then you're missing it. That was just a really cool moment. You're supposed to be sitting back and thinking like, "Wow, I didn't think he could do that." Not how he did it, the fact that he did it at all. That's a Superman thing. Superman doesn't have to, he already defies all of our physical laws when it comes to science. I couldn't tell you how Superman flies. Everybody just accepts that. But punching two planets apart, you need a reason. No, you need a different superhero. But if you can have all of that stuff in one Superman film, one Superman story, you're off to the races. You're off to a very good start. And then if you can keep it there and elevate, hey, you're going to have a dynamite series on your hand. So I hope this answers everybody's question. Calvin Ellis, always ready to rock. Catch you later. Spinner out.